Hello. Okay, excuse the way that I look. I'm 3 weeks and 1 day postpartum. It is September 20th, 2019. I have not made a labor and delivery video yet, so that's what this is. I'm going to go over how labor and delivery went, and what happened, how it all came about for our little girl to be born. Okay, so let's get this started. I have things written down because I've tried filming this a few times and I keep getting lost or distracted. So, and I don't want this to be a 30-minute video. Let's get started. Okay, so at the end of the last video, which was a day in the life of my due date, pretty much is what it was. I had my 40-week appointment. At the 40-week appointment, I had high blood pressure, and they tested it a few times, and it wasn't, where they'd like it to be. It was actually really high. It was like 180 over or something, so very high. So the midwife that I had the appointment with went ahead and admitted me around 2:30 on the 28th. Okay, so we're at 2:30. I went ahead and went upstairs. We went upstairs. They started monitoring the baby with the external monitors, and I was having contractions actually, but they were the little ones that you don't feel before labor actually happens. I don't know how to explain that. I wasn't feeling them, but they were happening, so labor was going to come naturally anyway. So after I got admitted, a lot of stuff, it takes a long time to get admitted for some reason. They didn't actually start any of the induction process until 5 that night, and at 5 they started me on a cervix ripener or softener. So we started that at 5, and I slowly started getting contractions, and then probably by around 10 I was getting consistent contractions. They were still around, I think, 7 minutes apart, somewhere 7-8 minutes apart, for a long time, so that's fine. And then I got up to use the restroom around 12-ish, 12:15 to be exact. And Tim noticed that there was water behind me as I was walking, so that is actually when my water broke. We went ahead and grabbed the nurse, and she checked me, and my water broke 12:15, which was great. I was already in the that phase of labor where you're shaking. I didn't even know this existed. Apparently it doesn't happen for everyone, but it happened for me. I was consistently shaking. I couldn't talk. It was that kind of, if you've ever been sick and have those kind of shakes, it's kind of like that. You can't control it. So that was happening. And that was actually happening before my water broke. So yeah. Yeah, so water broke 12:15. Okay. Let me look at my thing. And then they checked me. They checked how dilated I was, and I was not very far. I was only at a 3. So, which previously, whenever they first put me on the cervix ripener, I was at a 2. So, yep, so I was at a 3, and actually I had told Tim that whenever they were going to check me, if I wasn't at a 6, because my contractions were very bad for me, so I told him if I wasn't at a 6 or around there, that I would want an epidural. And then I was at a 3, so I requested an epidural, and I got the epidural administered around 3. The lady was super nice. The whole epidural process was a breeze. The only, well, not really a breeze. Like, getting the epidural was not, that was fine. It was the fact that I had to sit through contractions and not move. That is the part that was horrible. I couldn't do that. Well, I did it. Tim had to help hold me down through the contractions. It was interesting, but we got that done, and I actually passed out. I went to sleep. I had to wake up every hour for them to do my vitals, but that was only like 2 minutes being awake, and then I passed back out. And so actually the next morning at 6:45, I got checked again to see how far dilated I was, and I was actually at a 9. So the nurse that checked me had to go get the doctor because she wasn't understanding. She said, there's no way you're at a 9, but I was. And it was probably, they said it was probably just because I got to relax and sleep. So there's that. So yeah, I was at a 9 at 6:45, and then they checked me again around 9:20. And this is now the next day, so this is now the 29th of August. Around 9:20 they checked me, and I was at a 10, and about 10 minutes later, 9:30ish, I started pushing. So that was great. The whole pushing part of labor is a blur to me. Actually, most of the labor is a blur to me. I was actually writing things down while I was going so that I wouldn't forget, which I did forget, so I'm glad I wrote notes down. Yeah, so during the pushing stage of labor, I'm not going to get too detailed, but we eventually got into the right rhythm, and then the midwife that was helping deliver, how it works here for some, I don't know if this is how it works everywhere, but there's a midwife or nurse that'll help, you know, get labor started, and then right before the baby comes, they get the delivery team, which is the doctor and probably a different nurse, in there to finish the labor and delivery. Well, I had a midwife who was pristine. She was amazing and fabulous. We were, you know, chugging along through the push-in process, and then at the very end, after we did get the rhythm going, she called for the delivery team, and as she did that, Maggie decided to make her entrance into the world with one big push. So yes, and she actually came out with her hand in her mouth, and all through my pregnancy, whenever we had ultrasounds, she had her hand in her mouth, so it was just very coincidental that she had her hand in her mouth as she was, you know, making her way into the world. So as she did that, well, not as she did that, after she did that, she got checked. Tim went with her. It was all very emotional. Everything went great, and everything was perfect. She came out she entered the world at 10:29 on the 29th of August 2019. She weighed 6 pounds 15 ounces. She was 20 inches long. Yeah, it was crazy. I couldn't believe what had happened. I was beside myself. I'm still kind of beside myself, not gonna lie. Yeah, and Tim was amazing during labor. Unfortunately, I was beside myself during labor as well, so I didn't respond to him as often as, you know, he would have liked me to. He did great. He was amazing. And honestly, since the last 3 weeks, he's been amazing as well. Fills me with joy how amazing he's been with her. And actually, the day that she was born, he held her more than I did, which I'm perfectly fine with because I held her the last 10 months. So, yeah. Tried making this short video, try not to cry. There's a lot of other details and stuff that I'm not going to put into a video, just because it's very, very personal. But, yeah. So our little girl was born. We did it. I mean, you always think you can't do it, but then when you get there and then you're like, all right, we got to do this. And then it happens and you're like, I can't believe I did that. I still can't believe I did that. And honestly, looking at her, I still don't, it's crazy that she fit. You know what I mean? Like she was very long though, 20 inches. She has very long legs. She does not fit into clothes, right? Like her arms are probably a preemie length, and then her legs are probably like a 3 to 6 month length right now. I don't know whose legs she has. She doesn't have mine or Tim's, but yeah. All right. So that was my labor and delivery little spiel that I needed to get out there. There's a lot more details, like I said, but I'm not going to put them in a video. So yes, thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions and if you know me, just ask me and I'll answer them. So, all right. Thanks for watching.